The 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment grants citizenship to all people born or naturalized in the United States and guarantees that all citizens have equal protection of the laws. It also states that no state shall make or enforce any law that takes away a citizen's right, and that no state shall deprive any citizen of life, liberty, or property without due process. This means that under the 14th Amendment, your rights are protected from infringement by the state and federal government. The 14th Amendment expanded into the 13th Amendment, adding to the protection of civil rights by all Americans, especially newly freed slaves. The 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868 and is one of 3 amendments passed during the Reconstruction era in order to end slavery and protect the rights of African Americans. After Lincoln's assassination in 1865, Andrew Johnson was president and took over incorporating the Confederate States back into the Union. Johnson had supported the emancipation, but was evidently merciful on the Confederate States, who had enacted black codes, which were laws that limited and regulated African American rights. Congress created the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Johnson had vetoed the bill, but Congress overrode his veto, and it was made a law in 1866. This was the first time that Congress had overrode the president's veto of a major bill. Congress then created the 14th Amendment, which was designed to protect citizens' civil rights. In order to be readmitted into the Union, Southern states had to ratify the 14th Amendment. The Supreme Court case of Brown v. Board of Education in 1954 in Topeka, Kansas. Oliver Brown claimed that schools for black children weren't equal to schools for white children, and that this segregation violated the Equal Protection Clause under the 14th Amendment. When his case was taken to the Supreme Court, it was combined with 4 other cases and placed under the name Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka. Case decision. The justices were divided on the ruling of school segregation, but before the case was heard, Justice Vinson had passed away and was replaced with Earl Warren by President Eisenhower. Justice Warren had succeeded in getting a unanimous vote against school segregation for the following school year. He wrote that, "In the field of public education, the doctrine of separate but equal has no place, as segregated schools are inherently unequal." Therefore, Oliver Brown won the case of Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka. True/false statement. The 14th Amendment grants citizenship to all people born or naturalized in the United States and guarantees that all citizens have equal protection of the laws. Answer is true. What is the difference between an amendment and a bill for legislation? An amendment is an addition or alteration to the Constitution and needs a 2/3 vote in the House of Representatives and Senate for proposal. It needs a 3/4 vote to be ratified. A bill is introduced by a legislator or committee to the House of Representatives or Senate. It is then assigned a standing committee and a hearing/debate. It is voted on and, if passed, sent to the opposite house, and the same steps are repeated. If it is passed by both houses, it is sent to the president, where they can sign it and it will become a law. They can veto the bill, and it cannot become a law unless it goes back to both houses of Congress for a 2/3 majority vote in each house in order to pass. Or the president can ignore it for 10 days while Congress is in session, and it will become a law. Who does your amendment protect or help? The 14th Amendment protects citizens' equal civil and legal rights, especially African Americans and slaves that were emancipated after the Civil War. How does your amendment change the Constitution? The 14th Amendment was written to prevent state governments from limiting and denying African Americans and newly freed slaves their rights as citizens. It further expanded their rights and the 13th Amendment.